That's okay.
Okay, we are starting.
It's on your.
Oh,
160.
I just muted it. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna get started. So today we'll be talking about OSINT, and OSINT is short for open source intelligence. And so yeah, we'll be talking about what it is and how it can be helpful in penetration testing. So what is OSINT? So like I said, OSINT stands for open source intelligence. Basically, it's the collection and analysis of data gathered from open sources to produce actionable intelligence. So what does this mean? So basically, like any research that you do online, any data you can gather from there. And if you use that during like your penetration test, that's basically just OSINT. You're gathering data and you're making use of it in your testing. And you might think like, how can anything on the internet be like super useful? Like, what can I even find that's like really helpful? But you can find a lot of things, especially just like on employees, about the company. There's a lot of research that you can do. And employees are usually just like unaware of how much information they're putting online. And you can always take advantage of that as a penetration tester. Like I said, it's not always super technical. You can take advantage of human mistakes as well. So just to elaborate, open source refers specifically to information that's available for public consumption. So nothing private. It's all like just on the open internet. If any specialist skills, tools, or techniques are required to access a piece of information, it doesn't really count as open source. Therefore, it's not really OSINTing. Sometimes useful OSINT is unintentional. So maybe like we'll talk about this later, but maybe you're an employee and you just posted like a piece of code online because you needed help, but actually maybe that code like revealed how your company authenticates stuff. That's really bad because people could take advantage of that eventually, right? So, and basically that's a repercussion of being security unaware.
okay. So why do we require OSINT? So OSINT itself is what you can think of it as. It's doing like a lot of open like data gathering, because before attacking any specific organization or trying to penetration test something, you need to first sit down and get as much data as you can to derive relevant results from it. Like, who are the people working in there? What are they? What platforms do they use? What their network looks like, or is there any employee that visits some place very frequently? So it's more about just looking at their daily schedule or trying to find as much data as you can. Usually nowadays, with employees using a lot of social media networks, you can look into their social media accounts and see what are they doing, how do they like certain pages, or let's say if you want to send an email to them trying to like get them to install a malware software, you would want to see what gauges their interest. And if you see that they are in a fan club of something, you could send them an email or a fake email with that specific thing, right? So you need to be able to connect or find as much data and connect the dots. And at the same time, you need to find insecure devices. Like, if you see an employee that is like myself, that if anybody gives them an USB, he just plugs it into their laptop. What you can do is you can try to get close to that person and give him your USB. And once he connects it, you get your malware in there. And then once he goes to that network, you can, using his computer, you can explore all of his company details. And at the same time, what happens is, or most of us have worked on some sort of programming languages before, you see that they have, every now and then you see there's updates coming up, right? Like even in your laptops or some software, what happens is once the software gets old, there are certain bugs that are discovered in there. So maybe a bug that will allow other people to get into your laptop and get access to all of your files. So that's why it's always really necessary to have your software packages always up to date, because it has a lot of security patches every now and then. And at the same time, you need to, every now and then we hear that there is a big leak or breach of data where a lot of data has been breached and it's available on the public internet now. So you have to be very careful of that, like on the receiving end, but at the same time, when you're on the attacker's side, what you have to do is you have to make use of that data and try to see if you can find certain passwords of a particular organization or anything related to that organization that has been part of the latest breach that just happened. So it's OSINT summarized. Why do we need it? It's just the ability to sit down and collect all of this data and like try to connect the dots and then look into your attacking schedule or attacking, what do you call it? Plan, my bad. Yeah, attacking plan.
Just like talking about a little about like password formats because it's kind of interesting. So like companies will often have like a password format that they use. Maybe they use like for new employees, right? They'll be like, okay, this is your default username, this is your default password. Like it'll be your birthday / company name / blah 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 blah. Like if you figure out one password, you can maybe you just find like their birthdays, you just use the company name, you can find like a lot more passwords than just that one person, right? So it's just basically identifying patterns. Like Asir said about like old software, you can, if it's like open source, you could go on GitHub and you can look at the previous code. You can see like what bugs were discovered, and maybe the company is using old software that they revealed in a GitHub post or like on the GitHub or on like a Stack Overflow post. So yeah, just like gathering as much information as possible and using it to your advantage during your attack.
Yeah, and like to kind of like elaborate on that a little bit more, I have friends who are in like up in security consulting who are basically hacking Fortune 500 companies, and they will go and log into people's accounts using something like the season that they're in right now is like summer, the year 2023 ! And just use like interns who just got hired and log in as like super simple passwords like that, or even like company name one ! That works too. Like hacking is not like super technical sometimes. Sometimes it's like as easy as just like guessing a really easy password like that and just logging in. So yeah.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about a few different topics. So one of them is search engines. So do you really know how to Google? We'll also be talking about like images and how you can extract and evaluate image metadata, because although like you have like an actual image, like a PNG, for example, right? There's a lot of data that correlates with that one file. So we'll be learning about how to do that and what we can make use of that with. We'll also be talking about passwords and breach passwords and just like analyzing that. And then we have social media. This is a really big one because this is where you can find a lot of information, because people who nonchalantly use social media can post a lot of stuff that you can take advantage of. The development platforms, so platforms that like software engineers or engineers in general just use for help. And they ask questions and maybe they leak something within like their post. And sock puppets, so maintaining anonymity when you're doing this kind of like OSINT research, because you're researching other people about like their personal information and sensitive information, but you should also be protecting yourself. So do you want to talk about that?
So there is this very good quote by Clausewitz in On War 1832. I found it on some sort of like a news article where it says, by intelligence, we mean every sort of information about the enemy and his country are the basis of our own plans and operations. So as Sohi just mentioned, we will be looking at a wide variety of OSINT platforms or OSINT categories, but at the same time, we have to realize that, as Bryce was mentioning, that sometimes hacking is just taking steps, like 2 steps back and then understanding or collecting every sort of information that is there about the other person or the other organization that you're trying to breach while maintaining your own anonymity. So that's what this quote really abstracts. And so we'll be looking at search engine OSINT. How many of you have seen any of these search engines except for Google? Which ones?
DuckDuckGo.
DuckDuckGo. Is that the new Google for now? How many of you have heard about Yandex or what is BU? What was the name of this? It's an Asian Baidu or something like that. That's the Asian search engine. So by search engine OSINT, search engines are really smart. Like they are really efficient into looking into data of other organizations, right? Like if you want to search something or some blog, what it does, it has like the list of every web URL that's been registered in there. And then from there, it looks into your keywords and then tries to find the results that best matches your keywords, right? Like if I search how do you hack a company, what it'll do is it'll try to find all the blog posts of people who have posted an article or something as how do you hack into a company, right? So that's where we have to look at the wide variety of search engines that are available. Like Google is usually really efficient when it comes to name and profile search. Like if you want to find the profile of a certain employee or find all the employees of an organization, Google works like really well. For DuckDuckGo, it's more privacy focused search engine. It's very similar. I've been trying to use it for quite some time. It gives you some more intellect on your attack surface, like wherever you are trying to understand more, you could collect data from Google as well as DuckDuckGo. For Yandex, one thing that I really saw that Yandex stood out was image searching and analysis. Let's say you got an image from a company's IT room because the employee took a picture and posted on his social media. Now you want to understand like what servers are they using, what is like the image look like, or what are the things that they're using. You can put it in Yandex, and Yandex is going to give you a lot of similar images that will match that, and then you can click on individual links and try to understand what the IT system looks like. For Beirut, it's more about Asian search. Like if there's someone who's usually I've seen like a lot of Asian people, I think it's usually the primary search engine in China. So that's where you actually look into more towards like the Asian intellect if you want to get it from on some Asian company or so it depends. Yeah.
What is it called again?
I think it's Baidu. You can search it Asian.
Yeah, it's like BIDU, I think. Yeah,
BAIDU.
something like that. Like BAI or BIDU, something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Baidu.
BAID.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys can try this like on your own just because it's like Googling, but it's called Google Dorking. So you're just like using like a few operators. Oh, how can I?
I'll
Okay, but basically you're using like specific operators that are built into Google's like search engine. So for example, like you can do like you have a site operator, file type, in URL, in text, in title. So you can just try this maybe with like the Fullerton College domain, but maybe like you can look for like a specific file type along with like a certain site. You can combine these, so you can do like site www.fullcall.edu and then just do like a space, file type, and then whatever. But yeah, you can try this on your own. And this is really helpful if you're looking for like specific information. So maybe you just want to like look for passwords, right? So you can do like in text password or in title. And then index of usually you'll use that when you're like looking for like directory listings, which we can talk about later. But yeah, you guys can try these on your own. But they're really helpful when you're looking for really specific searches. I can come back to the slide after, but yeah, this is really helpful and you'll probably use it frequently if like or yeah, you'll probably use it frequently if you're like looking for something specific. Oh, and then like you can use those like operators to search about yourself. And you'd be surprised like how much information there is. Especially like I don't know if you guys have checked this, but like with my parents, right? Because like they're a little older. Like if you search like their names and their phone numbers and stuff, it's like all online. It's like really scary. So I had to like reach out to like the people who like run that website and like ask them to take it down because that's legal. But it's also legal for them to have it out there without your permission or without your explicit permission. So maybe you guys can like search it with your parents. Maybe that's like more like that'll like come up with more results. But yeah, it's really scary how much information the internet can have without you even putting it out there. And you can also like search about yourself with like online social medias. Maybe there's like accounts you forgot about, things like that. Okay, so we're gonna talk about OSINT on images, and this is a little description right here. A picture does say 1,000 words, and you'll see that really soon. So, okay, so with image OSINTing, you're gonna be doing a lot of like reverse image searching as well as metadata analysis. So with reverse image searching, you're mostly gonna probably use Google Images and Yandex Images. You can like go to those URLs right there, and maybe you can like drop an image, but you can drop an image and try it. But these will basically do like a search on your image and find pictures that look really similar to your picture. So like Nasir was talking about, like if you maybe like an employee posted their IT system, right? So you're curious about like what servers are they using, things like that. So you could just drop it into Google Images or Yandex Images, and it could possibly return like the exact product they were using. But more interestingly, metadata analysis. So this is the act of extracting and analyzing metadata embedded within an image file. So of course, everyone knows like what an image is, but within your image, there's a lot of data that's just clinging onto it. And to extract that data, you can use EXIF tool. So if you guys have your Kali instances from the last meeting, you can open the command line and run EXIF tool. But there are also like online pages you can do it with.
So if you want to, as Soy was mentioning, like usually with image OSINT, you have the reverse image search engines that will allow you to like find matching images of a certain image. But at the same time, for metadata analysis, like I think most of us have configured Kali, so they have the tool already installed. But for some people who haven't configured it yet, there's this online website that does the same thing for you. I'll post a link on Discord, so you could go in there and upload the image, and whatever data or metadata you can get from Active Tool, you can actually get it from the same website as well. So you just upload the image, it shows you all the metadata that's been behind that specific image.
So the reason why this is relevant is because sometimes pictures can have like really sensitive information embedded within it. For example, it could show your geographical location. So where was the photo even taken, right? You snap a photo and it'll literally like it'll embed your location and even when you took it within the image. So that kind of information could be really useful, because what if you like just, even if like it's the photo's content, it's like just a black photo, right? Even if it's like nothing, if you extract the metadata, it could reveal where you were at the time, when did you take it, things like that. So it could reveal where you're working at. So that's why it's important. Yeah, that's like the main use cases for metadata.
Yeah, and like even to like extrapolate that a little bit more, since like CPTC is here, the main theme is like an airline company. So let's say for some reason that you guys are doing OSINT during the competition and you find like leaked like airplane schematics or something like that, and it looks very in detail. If you download a picture of that and then use EXIF tool or stick some website to look at the metadata, you can maybe find like who made this actual like schematic, and you can be like, oh, I found this person. Look on their LinkedIn, maybe like they're posting something, maybe like a picture of like their desk and like there's like a sticky note with a password on it or something like that. Now you're like seeing who this person is, and you can like research into it more. Maybe they have more stuff that you can find, like more sensitive data from that.
And then one thing I like to note is like don't fly past the obvious. So like Bryce mentioned, like maybe there's like a laptop with like somehow a sticky note with like a password on it, like but just like really obvious things. One time I was like doing a CTF challenge, and like the way you would get the flag is you literally like increase the contrast of the image, because like it was really dark. And so rather than like doing like metadata analysis or like doing a reverse search, because like you probably couldn't even do a reverse search on that, it was just like really dark. But if you made it like brighter, or you just changed like the image up a little bit, you could see the flag. So just like obvious things like that you wouldn't really like, you wouldn't think is the solution, but it could be. So yeah, this is like what I meant by like a picture, like the say 1,000 words. So like look at, if you run EXIF tool, this is what it looks like on an image. So you can see like the image width, image height, but more importantly, like GPS latitude, longitude, position, right? This tells you literally exactly where you were when you took it. And see like date, time, original. That's like when you took the picture. Sometimes you might like modify the date and it'll tell you that too if you change the date like manually. So that's interesting. Oh yeah, so just like talking about it again, like geographical location, so if you don't have like metadata, you could just like analyze environment, look at the photo, do a reverse image search, just because like maybe there's like a sign that like a really unique sign, and so you just do a reverse search on that, and it'll return you where the sign was and the location of it. So things like that. Okay, and passwords OSINT. So this we'll be going over breach passwords and pattern analysis. Okay, so databases can be breached, right? And sometimes threat actors will release passwords to the open public. So they'll hack into a database, and then they'll be like, you know what, I want to be a bad person, and I'll release all the passwords that I got onto the internet. So that's when you that's what you see like on forums like raid forums. I'm pretty sure it's
raid. Yeah, there's a site called Raid Forums. Originally, it was like a website used to like raid like Twitch streamers, video game streamers. But it slowly turned into a forum for actors and hackers to basically go and leak information. And it was being hosted by like a 17-year-old in like South America, I believe. And then the US government had data on there because people were just leaking it. And the US government didn't like that, obviously. So they went and basically associated with other governments to basically go and track this person down. And it was like 5 countries went united together to go basically seize and assist the website. But the thing about threat actors is just because one site's down, they will make another one. So raid forums was the name of it. Now it's breach forums. Also, if any of you guys go on there, just be careful because it's like a threat actor forum. But yeah, it's like breach forums. There's even things called like docs bins. People who have like docs information about people, they'll post on there just on public internet. And CBTC before actually had information about that. Someone posted like a password for like a fake employee on there. So there's stuff like that too.
Yeah, so yeah, it does suck, but it's important to like look for these breach passwords when performing a penetration test to not only advise the employee in the future, right? Because you're trying to help your company, but also to like get a potential password for obtaining access, like we talked about in the penetration testing lifecycle. Maybe that could be a password that would give us initial access. So data breach databases, you can search for breach passwords by looking for known usernames, names, emails, or any identifying information. So have I been pwned? You can go to this website. I actually just tried it today, like again, but you can like search for passwords that correlate with your email or phone number. And I have like accounts, like Google accounts from like when I was like 10 years old, and I'll just like log into stuff, right? I'll be like, I don't care because I was like young. But if I looked at my old emails, which I don't like use anymore, but I saw like 4 of my passwords were like breached. So yeah, that's bad. But yeah, I don't use that anymore, but you can look through that and it'll tell you like this company got hacked and your password and your emails and all your information was released. So yeah, you can look at that and maybe you can take some action on that if you do find yourself breached. You can also look at you can ignore the index one, sorry. Okay, so moving on, password lists. So this is like a little more beyond OSINT, but there are popular lists of thousands of common passwords. So like it'll be just a big file of like common passwords, right? Like dog123, cat123, password 542. Like it'll just be like a million combinations, right? And usually you use this during like password sprays during your penetration test, like during your engagement. So this is a little bit beyond OSINT, but yeah, these are all online too, and these are popular lists that people use during password sprays.
Yeah, I think something else too to mention about passwords that might not be obvious is when you're OSINTing people, like something they even like to, like imagine they love dogs, they love like music, something that they love like Sam Smith or something like that. If you find out like what they like, you can probably kind of guess that they might have a password of it. Like, oh, I love my dog. Like they're on Facebook, like, oh, my dog Fluffy is so nice. I love her so much. And like, oh, it's like her 10th birthday. And you go back, oh, like it's like what? 2013 was 10 years ago. Maybe it's Fluffy 2013 exclamation mark as a password. You can start to like get ideas of like information just basically on public internet and try to log into their account based off like what they have and just start like making like passwords you can guess based off like their interests, what they like, stuff like that.
Yeah, and so going off what like Brett said, so like you have all this information, right? So this is a little beyond OSINT, but just like to pique your interest, it's a little beyond OSINT, but you have all this information, but you're like, how I'm not gonna manually type all that, right? Like that is so stupid. So there are like tools where like you just input like the data you gathered, like common keywords, like maybe their favorite number, just anything relevant, and it'll like run an algorithm and it'll just like mix it for you, where it's like a common into like a common format, and then it'll be like a long list too, and then you can run that list and you don't have to manually type it. So just something interesting. Okay, and social media OSINT, one of the like really relevant ones. So sometimes people are either unaware or nonchalant about what they post online, right? So people can just be like, they can be just unaware of like how much information they're putting out online. So much can be learned about an individual based on their profile, such as like where they live, who they know, and what they do. Some popular handles or some popular platforms are Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So these usually have like a lot of information, maybe also Facebook as well. But some questions to ask are like, how they posted their location recently, right? Like, are they traveling somewhere? And who are they going with? So this is like really important to know. Who are they networked with? So like on LinkedIn, you can see like their like who they matched, like who not matched, but who they added, right? So you can see where they're working. You can see like their job title. On Instagram and Twitter, you can like see their followers, and like Bryce mentioned, what are their interests, right? So like maybe they really like dogs, maybe they're like really into like a certain like TV show. So just literally anything that'll help you gather more information about them that could potentially be used like as a password or a keyword in a password. And development platforms.
For development platforms, how many of you have been in GitHub or Stack Overflow? How many of you have at least used Stack Overflow to solve a coding assignment? Or the other ones, if you guys code everything by your Chat GPT. So for that platforms, OSINT, yeah, you can actually use ChatGPT to do some OSINT for you as well. But for dev platforms, OSINT, GitHub, and Stack Overflow are like the major two tools which are used by developers. Like if you would look throughout the developer ecosystem, you are gonna find most of the developers use GitHub and Stack Overflow. So for dev platforms, the way that you look at github.com is you have, how many of you have maintained a repository at least, like putting your own code up there? What happens if you have put something up there and now you want to update it? What do? You pull it and then yes. So what you do is you pull the thing that's up there and then you change the thing that you want and then you push it up there again. What happens is you see that has been changed, right? But if you would go to the commit history or the change history, you would actually see that your old changes are still there. If somebody wanted to have access those, they could still find those. So if you by mistakenly have put your passwords up there and then you update it in your local system and put it up there again, you might think that your passwords are not there anymore, but they're still there. If somebody wants to do that, then they can find. Usually organizations do have some sort of checking in place that'll allow that'll restrict the employees to post any passwords, any tokens or stuff. But sometimes it actually goes through as well. So you have to be very interested in looking at their GitHub repositories or see or even employees GitHub repositories. Like maybe some employee was working on a private project and then they mistakenly pushed the password or a token of the company. So you have to be open to using GitHub and like looking into the repositories. And the most important thing that you often do in GitHub is to look at the past commits for cover-ups, commit descriptions, and user activity. Some user might also like write in a commit description, oh, this password is coming from xyz.com or something. So you analyze the commit or change histories as well. We'll be doing an example on this as well. So Stack Overflow.
Oh yeah, with Stack Overflow, I think the biggest thing, so this is like where developers can post like their questions, right? So I've actually seen a couple of these like happen, but like they'll post a question, right? They're like, how do you do this? Like, I'm trying to do this for my company at work and I can't figure this out. But then so they'll post their code, right? And that's totally fine posting code. But when you post code that's like really sensitive, and for example, like performing authentication, that reveals how your company is authenticating, and you could possibly look at that code and figure out an exploit for that, and then actually use it against their system. So yeah, that's really bad. So that's like an example of sensitive information being disclosed in the post provided code. And also, Stack Overflow users can edit their posts. So if you can look at their history and you could see that they edited their posts, and so maybe like they realize, oh shoot, I shouldn't have posted this, and they just edited it. Well, you can go back and look at their history and be like, oh, you edited this? Well, I can still see it. So that's one of the things that people make mistakes a lot in. So yeah.
Yeah, and to like kind of like elaborate on like GitHub's like a gold mine for penetration testers, and the reason why is a lot of like stuff in the cloud. Like we say here, everything being hosted in the cloud. Like there's like Amazon, which has AWS, which like the web services. Google has GCP, which is like the cloud platform. There's like Azure for Microsoft. All of these platforms, usually developers will have like tokens, and these tokens are basically a way for them to log in easily to these cloud platforms and go on a terminal and start doing whatever they need to do. But the thing is that sometimes they'll get lazy and they'll post on GitHub, oh, I'm just going to have a script that runs this token and logs me in instantly. But you should have been more secure about it and have some like library or something else that like obfuscates the password. They'll post that up on like either like the company GitHub, or even sometimes they might accidentally push it up to their own like public GitHub, which has happened a lot. And so just like we had the Google Docs, like you're looking for like inside github.com. So you're only looking for github.com. And then if you know what these tokens are, which are basically like variables, and they have like a set name for it. So for example, AWS has something called AWS_access_token. So if you know what these variable names are called, you can look in GitHub, look for that specific name, and just search Google and just find a ton of them and just start searching. So yeah, it's really, really powerful.
Okay. Oh. So we'll just be doing like a lab. So we have do you have it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have basically created a custom lab where we like are featuring all the things we talked about. So we have like bunch of accounts, like Twitter accounts, LinkedIn accounts, Stack Overflow accounts. So we'll basically give you like an entryway and basically show you all the employees, their names, just general information, and then from there you guys can, it's like a CTF, but you guys can go onto this website and it's like a challenge. So you can click on a challenge you want to do. It'll give you a small description and then you can just try figuring it out. And it's all on the internet. So yeah. And then if you have any questions, you guys can just ask us. But yeah, here, let's post something right now. Okay, so the CTF will be hosted at the top one. Make sure you use HTTP. So you just hit that domain and it'll give you all the challenges and you can submit your answers there if you find any answers. And then your entryway, so like your initial like little access will be at that link right there. It's a LinkedIn page, and so you can just like explore from there and see if you can find any flags. Okay, so like these are basically the names of the employees that work at this like fictitious company called Divided Airlines. So yeah, this is like your entryway, and you can start like researching these names, use the things that we talked about, like Google Dorking. I can also go ahead and post these sites actually.
Is everyone able to hit the CTF website? Okay, the top link.
Is it working?
If you cannot, then I think your browser automatically defaults to HTTPS. So just change it to HTTP and it will be fine.
And then everyone can just register your own account. You can make a fake email too if you don't want to put your actual email on there.
Yeah, it's fine.
And then there'll be little challenges you can do. It's basically based off the entryway and the names. You need to start looking for flags. So basically, like if the question will ask for certain information for you to look for, and then based off the information, that might be like the goal, the flag that you're looking for, essentially. Also, just for like a fair warning, in case you all forgot, OSINT is like, so remember last time we talked about basically the penetration testing phase is how there's like recon, there's scanning, whatever. So OSINT is a part of the recon phase. So that means that you basically are passively looking around. You shouldn't be trying to log into anyone unless you were given permission by your client to do that. So right now, like if you find like a password or something, don't try to log in like to their Gmail or something, because that'd be really bad. Only look for like, oh, you're gathering info about it. You're just trying to get as much information right now. And then once the engagement actually starts, that's when you can start using it. So right now you're just looking around and just trying to find things and noting them down. Also, as like a little hint too, when you guys are searching up their names, don't only search up like their first and last name. Like, let's say you're looking for like username somewhere. Remember how we mentioned naming conventions? So right now, you obviously don't really know exactly what it is. Some people might have like their first name, last name just combined together as a username. Maybe it's their first letter, full last name. Try different like variations and see if you can find something off of that as well.